Hey there, card makers. It's Jennifer. Thanks again for stopping by. If you've ever watched my videos, you know that I like to take products and use them in different kinds of ways. So today I'm going to take vellum and show you how you can add some coloring to it. This is a great technique that gives kind of a muted look. You could color on cardstock, but by coloring on vellum, you get this really different feel. I wish I could capture it in the video, but I used it on the flowers here and it's just beautiful in real life. So I'm going to show you how I did this. I'm using the stamp set from Winnie and Walter. It's a great company. It's a newer company. They have great people behind it and some great designs. I've taken the rose that is on this stamp set and also the two leaf images. Now I have some vellum here. This is 40-pound vellum from Basil. And I'm using my anti-static tool. It's a powder tool that I like to brush over things before I do heat embossing. It's just a great way to prevent powder from getting where you don't want it to be. Now I'm stamping these images with Versamark ink. I have all three images on one block just to save some time. Stamp them all at once. I'm going to stamp them repeatedly across this vellum so that I have lots of images. I'm not sure how many I'm going to use on the card, but I always prefer to have too many than too little, and I can always use the extras on another card. Now that all my stamped images are done with Versamark ink, I have my white embossing powder from Hero Arts. This is in the container that I like to put my white and clear embossing powders in. I use a little clip to hold a spoon onto the cap, and I'll have links to these products in my description below and on my blog. So now I'm just going to go ahead and heat set all of these white embossed images, and you get this really bright white raised image against the vellum that I think is just beautiful. Now, for the coloring today, I'm using Tombow Markers. These are some new ones that I got. They have a brush tip and a fine point tip, and I really like the quality of these. They're great for stamping with or watercoloring with, and they work great for this technique. However, any markers you have would probably work for this. Now, I am actually going to color on the back of the vellum, so I'm not actually coloring over the white embossing. Now, the reason I'm doing this is if you color enough over the white embossing, you'll eventually change the color of the white embossing, and I wanted it to stay pretty bold white. So on the back, I colored it first with like an orangish yellow color. Now I'm going in with a little bit of soft pink, coloring it on, and then quickly rubbing it with my finger to blend it out. So there's no taking time to kind of blend like you would with Copic markers. I'm just quickly, as the ink is still wet, using my finger to kind of rub and pull the color out to do the blending. So I'm just doing it myself with my finger. Now I went in with a little bit darker color, some red. You can see I'm just putting touches along the white image that I see through the vellum, and I'm just pulling it with my finger. There really is no rhyme or reason to why I'm doing this. I'm trying to put darker color where I think darker color would be on a rose, but I don't really think too much about this. I know a lot of people go into the science of where the dark and light spots would be on the flower, but I just like to add shading as much as I can. When you flip it over, you get kind of a muted color. If you want this to be more vibrant, you could color right on the front where the white embossing is, but I think that kind of takes away from the fun of using the vellum. Now for the leaves, I'm going to do the same thing. I colored first with a light green, and now I'm going with a darker green over it and kind of pulling the color with my fingers. So I'm totally cheating by using my fingers to blend, but you could color in the back with Copic markers and use them to blend. You could try watercolor. You could try anything you want on the back of the vellum. Some things may not work, but I bet most of them will. Okay, so now you can see on the back of the vellum where I did the coloring, it's really, really vibrant, but on the other side you get this muted look that I just think is really beautiful in real life. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out all of these images right up against the white embossed line. I decided to use 3 roses on the card, and I wanted the third one to be a little bit smaller than the other, so I'm just cutting some of the extra petals off the outside of it. This is something that you can do with many flower images, especially rose images. Now for the banner, I followed similar steps. I took the banner image from the same stamp set that has the roses on it from Winnie and Walter, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp with Versamark ink on vellum and white heat emboss it. Now for the greeting in the center, the great thing about this banner is many of the greetings in these Winnie and Walter stamp sets will fit in it. I actually grabbed one of the older stamp sets from Winnie and Walter, this great Thanks stamp set. This is one of my favorite of all times. There's lots of little different words in here that you can match up to each other to create greetings. I'm going to take out you, are, and amazing. I've lined them up straight on my block, and I'm going to shift them a little bit and kind of curve them just a touch on the block so that it kind of goes in the wave to match the wave in that banner there. So I'm stamping it again with Versamark ink. I'm going to go ahead and add my white embossing powder once again and heat set it. So you can kind of curve greetings to kind of fit the curve in a banner image like this, or to fit a curve along a card, anything you want. It's a great way to kind of stretch your stamps a little bit. Okay, so now that I've got this stamped, I want to add some color to the back of it so it mimics the flowers in the background, but I really want it to stand out. So I'm going to go straight to that dark red color and add that to the back of the card. Now you can kind of wipe away color if you want to soften it with a rag or with any kind of cloth. And then you can blend other colors in this way, or you can just use your fingers as I did before. Decided I want a little bit of orange on the tips of the banner, so I'm just going to kind of rub that in and add some red and kind of rub that out. Now when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you rub with your finger right away or it won't blend. It'll dry pretty quickly, but if you move quick enough, you'll get great easy blending. And there we go, we have the color on the back of this. Now, as I mentioned, I really wanted this banner to stand out against all the flowers I'm going to put it on. So what I decided to do was go ahead and add it to white cardstock. To do this, I squirted a little bit of my favorite liquid adhesive, which is multi-medium from Ranger, squirted a little bit on my work surface, and I'm using my stylus to put tiny little touches of this adhesive behind the white embossed image. The reason I'm doing this is I don't want my adhesive to show through, and I'm not sure if this will or not. And you really don't need much of this adhesive, and I'll glue it to the white cardstock. Then I'll cut out around the image. I could have cut both layers at once, but I really wasn't sure where I was going with this. But when using vellum, I always try to hide it behind something, my adhesive behind something, because I'm never really sure that when something's dry that it won't show through. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do our background for our card so that we can glue this all together. I'm going to use an embossing folder from Tim Holtz. I love this background. I think it's so playful. So I'm just taking some white cardstock, running this through my die cut machine. I'm using it, this is Big Shot, so I use tab 1 when I'm doing this, but you can use these embossing folders with pretty much any die cut machine you may have. Now I just did this on a white panel of white cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this on to the front of a note card. I could have just embossed the front of a note card, but I really wasn't as sure again where I was going with it. Now if there were any bumpy edges from this embossed pattern, I like to smooth them out with a sanding block so I have nice smooth surface around the edges of my cards. Okay, so now it's time to add these flowers to my card. You may be wondering why my iPhone's in the camera or in the picture here. The reason is I kind of assembled these flowers before, kind of playing around with how this card was going to come together. And after I assembled them, I took a quick picture of it. So I'm following that picture as a guide. I find this helps me a lot more than a sketch. Now to add these pieces to the card, I'm using this clear foam tape. I wanted the flowers to kind of pop up, but I didn't want the adhesive to show through, so I'm using this clear tape. Now I'm not sure if this clear tape will really show much through the vellum. It may show a little bit, but since this is a pretty busy image, I don't think it really will be noticeable if it is, and to me, after I have this all put together, it doesn't seem to show through. So I really like this clear foam tape because it pops things and you don't see that white tape through any kind of image or from the side. So I'm just going to go ahead and start arranging my flowers on here. I really have no rhyme or reason how I put it together, but I do like to put things kind of in a visual triangle. So you'll see that I end up putting these 3 flowers in a triangle formation, and then I just fill in the empty space with some leaves. Now to really determine where those leaves should go, I'm going to go ahead and put my banner down next. So I've put some tape on the back of this, some of that foam tape also. And I'm going to arrange this across it. And now I have a bunch of leaves that I had cut out from before, and I'm just going to put a little bit of that clear foam tape behind each of these pieces and just tuck them in to kind of fill in the open spaces between the flower and connect them a little bit. Now, if you are interested in the products I'm using here, by the way, they're all linked below my YouTube description and on my blog, and I have that clear foam tape and all these stamps linked there. Okay, so now you'll see that I'm going to take some of the extra leaves and kind of have them sticking out from the sides of the flower so it kind of looks a little more natural and not so planned. And once I have them all in place, I decided I wanted to have something on the inside to kind of pull it all together. So I went back to that handy stamp set that has lots of little images. I put the words "love you" together, and I'm using the marker to color the stamp. And so I get a colored image on the inside that matches my coloring on the outside. So there you have it, a fun way you can color vellum, a great way to get an old product like vellum a new look. If you're interested in the products, again, as I mentioned, they're linked in my YouTube description to many different stores, so if one's out of stock, you can check another. And if you have any other questions, you can visit my blog at jennifermcguireinc.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you'll stop back by soon.